I'm often asked about the beginnings of the Holy Grail mobile feeding ministry. How did it get started? What was our inspiration? And the short answer, it was the work of the Spirit. For well over 25 years, St. Nicholas has been supporting and helping the homeless, primarily through what was then St. Lawrence Chapel, located about 6-7 miles from here. Started out as a day shelter and then eventually evolved into an emergency overnight shelter. When the homeless would stop by here, we'd say, we'd love to help you, but all of our resources, the clothing, the food, etc., have been sent out to St. Lawrence Chapel, essentially asking the homeless to walk another 6-7 miles. When the homeless have an inordinate number of problems, medical problems with their feet, because they're always on their feet. So we were struggling with how do we deal with that issue. And then one Monday, our parish administrator, who had been at a festival in northern Florida, came in and said he had seen a ghastly green food truck for sale. We immediately realized that this could be the answer to our prayers. The following day, Tuesday morning, I presented it to staff, and everyone was extremely excited about the possibility of a mobile ministry, even though we didn't have an earthly idea how we were going to pay for it. I nonetheless called the Senior Wardens Council together that afternoon, and they too were enthusiastic, even though they acknowledged we had no earthly idea how we were going to pay for it. And then, serendipitous, we had a vestry meeting that very night, so I presented the idea of purchasing this food trailer to the vestry. I'll never forget the discussion we had. Generally, people were quite supportive, but there was one member of the vestry who had some serious concerns that it was going to become a rat-infested grease trap. But she saw that there was a consensus developing that we should go ahead and step out in faith, and she joined in that consensus. And I will just jump ahead for a moment. That individual became the first volunteer on the Holy Grail, and she has been a consistent volunteer for the years since. She's fallen in love with this life-giving ministry. At any rate, the vestry approved borrowing the money to purchase this food truck. I remember driving up and towing it back, not appreciating the tight turning radius and ripping the bumper off my truck in the process. We had a lot to learn. We learned over time that the food trailer was not designed very well. All the weight was on the front and the tongue. And when you're trying to tow over 4,000 pounds, that can be an issue. We also learned that towing over 4,000 pounds represented an enormous bottleneck for our ministry. But we fought because there were very few people who had the comfort level to tow the food trailer. We did the best we could, and we began our ministry by building partnerships with other churches and nonprofits so that we could be on private property and avoid some of the issues that others have had serving food to the homeless on public property. And because it's mobile, we can go where the homeless are, not asking them to congregate in large crowds on one fixed area where there's often a spillover of negative effects to adjoining property, as was the case at St. Lawrence. So this has really truly been a win-win. And the homeless have told us that we're the only ones serving a hot breakfast in Northeast Broward. It's been life-giving. And it's been amazing. You know, when we first did this, I had a parishioner come up to me and say, in part because I didn't have a ready answer about how we were going to pay for this ministry, he said to me, "You're going to bankrupt this church." Well, God was at work. Thanks to grants and donations, we have never, ever had to subsidize this ministry, which began in September of 2016. So many people have come together and supported this ministry. And we're eternally grateful. And we believe that it has definitely been the work of God. Over time, the food trailer began to show its age. The aluminum cage of the body began to shift such that doors didn't always latch well. We were using plywood to reinforce a decaying floor. We needed a new solution. So the vestry again stepped out in faith. We made the decision to go for a custom equipped food truck. Not a trailer that you pull behind, a truck with an engine. We were so excited. But it was a $152,000 purchase. Again, we were worried. But in less than a year, we've raised nearly enough money to pay off the loan for the truck. And in the process, we discovered that again, God was working with us. When we were trying to get that loan, there was a glitch. And the chassis that had been identified as sitting in Indiana, we were about to lose it. When the company that we were working with, Concession Nations, just located 20 minutes from here in Deerfield Beach, called me. Their CFO called and said, we know what you're trying to do. We're a Christian ownership group ourselves. We believe in what you're trying to do. And rather than see you lose that truck, we'll front you the money to get it down here. So gracious, so generous. And then later, as the food truck was coming to completion, they called and said, listen, rather than give you a generator, which is older technology, for no additional cost, we'll build in a lithium power plant. It's God working. Thank you, Concession Nation. We now have a food truck that doubles our cooking capacity, and it's eliminated that bottleneck. So we've already had another church, the Chapel of St. Andrew in Boca Raton, volunteer a crew to operate the Holy Grill, meaning we can now begin to expand. We feed not only the homeless during the week, breakfast and dinner various days, but we're also serving hot meals to food insecure families with children on Saturdays. And thanks to the chapel, we're expanding that. We have offers out to other churches. Please take a crew, build a crew and take a shift. We just see endless possibilities with this ministry. So I do hope that you will keep us in prayer. And if you feel so moved, volunteer or support us in some way. Thank you. God bless.